On today's episode, the Chicago Blackhawks have their first preseason game at the United Center tonight against the rival St. Louis Blues. I will go over everything of note for that matchup, including who we can expect to see in the lineup, who will be in net, and also 5 things for all Chicago Blackhawks fans to keep an eye on throughout the contest. All that and plenty more right here on Locked On Blackhawks.
You're Locked On Blackhawks, your daily podcast on the Chicago Blackhawks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Blackhawks podcast, your daily podcast on the Chicago Blackhawks. Today is Tuesday, September 27th. I'm your host, Jack Bushman. You can find me out on Twitter at JackBushman2, or you can also go and check out my Strictly Blackhawks account at Talkin' Hockey for all the latest Blackhawks news and updates. And if you're listening to the audio version of today's episode and you like what you're hearing, then please be sure to go and show some support first by following the podcast. Be sure to also go and rate the show with 5 stars. And if you're tuning in through Apple Podcasts or through Spotify, then feel free to go and leave me a review as well. And the best part about it all is that it's 100% for free wherever you may be listening to your podcast. Go and follow the show right now, and you'll be able to get the latest episode as soon as it comes out each day. And if you're not already watching the video version of today's episode, then you got to be sure to go and head on over to Locked On Blackhawks on YouTube, because every episode throughout the rest of the preseason, throughout the rest of training camp, for every game in the regular season, every episode is going to have a video uploaded to YouTube along with it as well. So if you haven't done so yet, folks, please do me a huge favor. Go and subscribe to Locked On Blackhawks on YouTube. I really could use all the help that I can get, and it helps pay the bills. So please take the 2 seconds in order to go and subscribe to Locked On Blackhawks. It really helps me out more than you all know. Also, be sure to go and smash the like button on this video as well, and comment as to your prediction of tonight's outcome in the preseason opener against the St. Louis Blues. Last, go and ring the bell, turn on those push notifications, and that way you can get notified when the episode gets uploaded to YouTube each and every day. All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining me on another episode of Locked On Blackhawks, your one-stop shop for all things Chicago Blackhawks. And thank you all for making the show your first listen here to start off your day. Getting right into the action on the show today, folks. We have a Blackhawks game on our hands tonight. Yes, the Blackhawks kick off their preseason slate at the United Center against the St. Louis Blues. 7:30 puck drop will be televised on NBC Sports Chicago Plus. So make sure to tune in, because Blackhawks hockey is back. We officially have made it through the summer, folks. And let me tell you, one of the hardest things to do is cover a hockey team on a day-to-day basis in July and August when there's just not a whole lot going on. So I'm happy that's officially in the rear view at this point, and I'm so stoked that the Blackhawks are going to be back in action tonight against St. Louis. And on the show today, folks, I will be going over everything in order to get you all prepared for this preseason opener against the St. Louis Blues. First, in terms of who we can expect to see in the lineup tonight, all Coach Luke Richardson really said is that you can expect to see the main group. He didn't really get more specific than that, but we can assume, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, those top 6 players, the top defensemen, the top youngsters like Kevin Korchinski, Lucas Reichel could be getting in there. He's kind of going to be an interesting one. We'll see. I doubt Colton Dach or Paul Ludwinski are healthy enough to play in this game tonight, but it's going to be a lot of fun to see a lot of the different guys, whether they're a prospect, whether they're a roster lock. There's a lot to be looking for, but one thing I did want to reference is that is the group selections that the Blackhawks have been going with through training camp so far. Now, this was from back last Friday, so the groups have kind of tweaked a little bit, but just so all of you can get a little bit of an idea who could be in the Blackhawks lineup tonight, I wanted to run through this list real quick. So Team A, which I guess you could kind of consider the main group, there are some players from Team B who I think could have been, mixed in the past couple days and certainly could be in the lineup. But Team A here, we have Nolan Allen, Andreas Athanasiou, Colin Blackwell, Ethan Del Mastro, Max Domi, Carson Gasevitz, Cole Gutman, Jack Johnson, Tyler Johnson, Caleb Jones, Seth Jones, Patrick Kane, Kevin Korchinski, Jake McCabe, Garrett Mitchell, Peter Mrazek, Connor Murphy, Taylor Radish, Buddy Robinson, Sammy Savoy, Blake Sini, Josiah Slavin, Arvid Soderblom, Michael Tepley, Jonathan Taves, and Alex Vlasic. That was every player who was listed in Group A again, but that was from last Friday. So a couple of guys from Team B who we could see in there tonight. Evan Barrett, someone who could possibly be in the lineup. Nicholas Beaudin, Mackenzie Entwistle, Jakob Galvis, Gavin Hayes was in Group B. We'll see if the Blackhawks want to give him some preseason action tonight. Boris Kachuk, Jujhar Khaira, although I think the Blackhawks kind of already know what they have with those guys, and there are probably others they would like to give some time in the lineup here. Philip Kurashev, maybe, Sam Lafferty, maybe, Isaac Phillips and Alec Regula are two guys who could be in there on the back end. Lucas Reichel, as I already mentioned, is in Group B. I think they're going to be giving Lucas Reichel some game action tonight. Dylan Sakura, Riley Stillman. So there are some guys in Group B who definitely could be in there. But for the most part, I think a majority of the guys from Group A are going to be in there. Like we're going to see Vlasic. Sounds like we're going to see Taves. Josiah Slavin's probably someone who's going to be in. He's had a really strong camp and has kind of taken a leadership role in Rockford. Taylor Radish, I think, will be given an opportunity. Connor Murphy sounds like he's going to play and possibly be paired up with Kevin Korchinski. I don't know if Seth Jones is going to be in there, but I do think Caleb should be. Tyler Johnson will probably play. I don't think Jack Johnson will. Cole Gutman should definitely be in the lineup after a really strong Tom Curvers prospect showcase. Max Domi's probably going to be up there with Patrick Kane to see what they've established so far in training camp. I think Colin Blackwell and Andreas Athanasiou will be in the lineup. Former first-round pick Nolan Allen has stuff to prove as well. So there's, a lot of good pieces should be playing tonight in this preseason opener for the Blackhawks here against St. Louis. And I seriously could not be more excited that game action is finally back. And we have, less than 3 weeks officially to the beginning of the regular season. All right. There's a quick preview of tonight's preseason opener against St. Louis. Coming up in just a moment, I will get into my 5 things that all Blackhawks fans should be watching for tonight. But first, I need to talk to you all about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for all pro and college football betting needs and sports info this season. You can find all of the latest football developments, game matchups, news, and podcasts on whatever game you want to place a wager on. BetOnline is also your continued source for all sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and game scores. It's both the fastest and the easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including the MLB, MMA, boxing, and even golf. So head on over to the website today, or you can also use your mobile device to learn more now about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, we're back here on the Locked On Blackhawks podcast. Moving on into segment 2, it's time to get into my 5 things that all Blackhawks fans should be watching for in tonight's preseason opener at the UC against the St. Louis Blues. And as I already mentioned, there should be a lot of key names in the lineup tonight, so a lot to be watching, a lot to be told, and let's find out, what these guys have been up to throughout training camp so far. So the first thing I think Blackhawks fans should be looking for right out of the gate, again, I know it's just a preseason game, but considering the vibe around this camp and how the players have responded so well to Luke Richardson as a head coach. I talked on yesterday's show about the impact that he's already making. It's quite impressive. If you want to hear more about that, be sure to go and check out yesterday's episode of Locked On Blackhawks. You can do so very easily by going and checking out my YouTube channel. And while you're there, please make sure to smash that subscribe button for your boy. But the first thing I think Blackhawks fans should be looking for tonight is how is the intensity of this Blackhawks team? Because based on everything we've heard so far out of training camp, the players are super stoked to be playing for Luke Richardson. They think he's extremely fair. He commands respect, but, wants everyone to work hard, take everything seriously. I mean, he's out there doing drills and skating around with them. You can't be dogging anything if your head coach is taking part in practice with you, basically. And I think the players have really enjoyed that. I really think it's been a breath of fresh air for them. So I'm really interested to see how this Blackhawks team is going to respond in their first game under Luke Richardson's helm. Again, I get it's a preseason game, but the intensity, I expect it to be on full tilt. The Blackhawks, hopefully, I mean, they seem like they're having fun. They want to play for Luke Richardson. I expect them to come out flying and playing hard and wanting to win this game. Luke Richardson's preached that numerous times so far throughout training camp and at development camp and stuff. When, he's asked about the Blackhawks' greater goals and obviously being in a rebuild and, the tank word. All he said is, they can do whatever they want, but us and the guys in the locker room, we're going to be trying to win each and every night. So I'm really interested to see the intensity of this Blackhawks team tonight. Hopefully it's on full go and they're fighting hard each and every shift. Honestly, I expect that to be the case, and I hope I'm not disappointed when they take on St. Louis tonight. The second thing I think Blackhawks fans should be keeping an eye out for is obviously, how are the kids looking? As I already mentioned, I believe Kevin Korchinski is going to play the 7th overall selection in this year's NHL draft. He's been paired up with Connor Murphy in the past couple of practices. I think that's a really good safety blanket for him. If he is going to get into a preseason game like I expect, he's only 18 years old. So yeah, probably going to be in a little bit over his head, but it's very smart of this Blackhawks coaching staff to give Korchinski arguably the best true defender the Blackhawks have on their decor as a partner in Connor Murphy. So keep an eye on how Kevin Korchinski is looking. If Lukas Reichel gets in there tonight, he's probably going to be playing in the top 6. Let's see how he's looking in that role and see if he can convince this Blackhawks coaching staff to keep him around on the opening night roster. Rumors right now are kind of making it sound like it's more likely that he's going to start in Rockford, but if he dominates these preseason games and forces the coaching staff's hand, it's not out of question that he could still make this team. So really interested to see how Lukas Reichel is going to look. Sammy Savoy, if he gets into the lineup, I expect him to be gooning it up out there, being physical each and every shift, trying to get under the opponent's skin. And hey, let's see if he can do something offensively as well, because he's flashed that skill set from time to time so far in camp and at the Tom Kerber's Prospect Showcase. And he's someone that the more and more I watch, the more and more I know I'm going to absolutely love him if he ends up making it to the NHL one day down the road. Fingers crossed on that one, because I really love the intensity and energy that Sammy Savoy brings on every shift. And that's something the Blackhawks have needed so desperately throughout the last couple of seasons. Guys who aren't just stragglers away from the puck, guys who aren't really making an impact unless the puck is on their stick or they're in the offensive zone trying to create. Sammy Savoy knows that's not his game. That's not what's going to get him to the NHL level. He has to do other things in order to entice coaching staffs and to keep rising through the ranks. He recognizes that. That might be my favorite part about his game, his self-awareness. So I'm really excited to see if he gets in there tonight, how annoying he's going to be for the St. Louis Blues players. Michael Tepley is another guy who, I don't know if he's going to get in there tonight, but someone I've really liked ever since the Blackhawks drafted him. Maybe I'm a little biased towards him, but I think he's got a really good shot, really underrated offensive game, and he flashed it in the second half last year when he got that opportunity with Lukas Reichel on the top line. So whether he gets in tonight or not, I'm really excited to see what Michael Tepley is going to offer here in the preseason. Who else? Gavin Hayes. I think he's deserving of game action for how well he's performed the past couple of weeks. Isaac Phillips too, Alec Regula. I think the Blackhawks kind of know more what they have with them than some other guys like Nolan Allen or Ethan Del Mastro. While they do really like Del Mastro a lot, I think they'd rather give those guys the action if they're going to have, Connor Murphy, Kevin Korchinski, potentially Caleb Jones in there as well. So we'll see. It's obviously a tight squeeze. You can only dress 6 or 7 defensemen, and the Blackhawks have like 14 of them here in camp. But yeah, keeping an eye on the kids is, the name of this entire season, basically. So I'm excited to see how they're going to fare here in the preseason opener against St. Louis. And I definitely think that's what all you Blackhawks fans should be looking for when watching this game. The third thing is, how is the top 6 forward group playing? And it's been interesting because yesterday we saw the top 6 get mixed up a little bit. Andreas Athanasiou was the one on the top line with Max Domi and Patrick Kane. That bumped down Taylor Radish to the second line with Jonathan Taves and Tyler Johnson. And then Colin Blackwell was moved down to a bottom 6 role, I'd assume on the third line with Sam Lafferty. But for the top 6 forwards, what are they going to be tonight is something that Blackhawks fans should be looking for. But whatever combination they go with, how is the chemistry developing? How are they looking? Are they creating in the offensive zone? Are they out there stuck in the defensive zone and can't get anything going in transition? Do we need to make some changes? How is that top 6 forward group looking? Because it's really still up for grabs at this point. I think that's apparent by Andreas Athanasiou sliding up, Radish sliding down. Personally, I think it makes the most sense to have Radish and Athanasiou inside the top 6 and to leave Blackwell on the third line. But then, what are you going to do with Lucas Reichel? If he's in there tonight, you probably want to put him in the top 6. So regardless of who winds up on those top 2 lines, just keep an eye on how they're looking. Is Luke Richardson tweaking things up? Is he mixing and matching throughout the contest? Is he hitting the blender button? I think that's going to be really telling, as, again, we're now less than 3 weeks away from the start of the regular season, and the Blackhawks' top 6 forwards, there's still jobs up for grabs there. So that's definitely something that I think all you Blackhawks fans should be looking for in this contest tonight. Number 4, how is the new box +1 defense looking? Going from man-to-man back to zone that the Blackhawks are running under Luke Richardson, who is an 1,000-game NHL veteran, played defenseman. That's probably the strength as a coach for him. How is this new defense looking for the Blackhawks? It's been a problem for far too long for this team, and it's plagued them forever. I mean, always seems like they're the team that's getting outshot, outchanced, wrong end of the analytics, definitely spending more time in their zone than in the offensive zone. I mean, seriously, as someone who watches 98% of Blackhawks games, I think I've missed 5 games over the last 2 years, if that. It seriously feels like over the last 2 seasons, there's been 10 or fewer occasions where the Blackhawks have outshot their opponent or ended up on the right side of the Corsi percentage as a team. Like, it's just been bad. The defense never really had any consistency, always struggled even against teams they shouldn't. They'd be giving up 35, 40 shots on goal and just making life awfully tough on their goaltender. So hopefully Luke Richardson's new defensive system can come in and provide some structure, provide some clarity, and make things easier for the players. That's one thing we've heard about Luke Richardson and his tendencies as well. He just wants guys to play straightforward, don't think too much, go out there and react. And also, from a defenseman standpoint, he doesn't want his defensemen really to be passing D to D. He wants them to be moving the puck up the ice. And look, if there's a turnover, we're going to go and try and make the play up the ice to give us the puck back in a good situation, which is, a nice aggressive tactic that the Blackhawks just frankly didn't run under Jeremy Colleton. They were very patient with the puck when the defensemen had it in their own zone. And the transition game was just pretty much non-existent except for the top line of Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat and Dylan Strome. So how this new box 1 defense is looking, how, the structure is forming, are the Blackhawks communicating well, picking up men in the high danger areas, and also the penalty kill. How's the penalty kill going to be looking? That's something that's also been an issue for this team for far too long. So yeah, another thing Blackhawks fans definitely should be keeping an eye on, not only tonight, but throughout the preseason and the entirety of the regular season, because it's a really big key moving forward. I don't think the Blackhawks can get better until their defense and their structure gets better. So how is the new box 1 defense looking is a really important key, I think, for the Blackhawks moving forward. My fifth and final thing that all you Blackhawks fans should be looking for tonight, I don't know if it's going to be too important or significant, but who will be wearing the letters? We saw a video clip on Twitter of Seth Jones rocking the A, so it seems like he's going to be wearing a letter now that he's kind of locked into this rebuild for the long haul. But we obviously know Jonathan Toews is going to be the captain. Patrick Kane is going to be wearing the A, I'm assuming. Both of those two guys, it does sound like, are going to be in the lineup tonight. But who's going to be wearing the A? We've seen Connor Murphy wear it in seasons past. We saw Alex DeBrincat wear it last year, but obviously now he's gone. I think Seth Jones is going to be the next one wearing a letter, but we'll see what the Blackhawks decide to do. They could go with different captains on the road than they do at home, different alternate captains, that is. Jonathan Toews will, of course, always be wearing the C, but I'm really interested to see who's going to be the new leaders of this group. You know, Alex DeBrincat, a lot of people thought he was set to become the next captain of the Chicago Blackhawks after Jonathan Toews' seemingly inevitable departure. But, you know, that's certainly out of the question at this point. And I talked about it throughout the summer. I guess Connor Murphy and Seth Jones are kind of those next two guys in line. But we'll have to see. We'll see who's wearing the letters tonight. Again, not the most significant thing to watch for in a preseason game, but if Seth Jones is in there, is he wearing the A? Connor Murphy, if he's in there, is he wearing the A? And if not, who's going to be wearing a letter for the Chicago Blackhawks right here on the sweater? All right, folks, I think that is going to wrap up Tuesday, September 27th episode of Locked On Blackhawks. Thank you all again for tuning into the show, and be sure to go and follow Locked On Blackhawks right now, wherever you get your podcasts, and go and subscribe to Locked On Blackhawks on YouTube, and you'll be able to get the latest episode as soon as it comes out each day. And after the show, you got to be sure to go and check out the Locked On NHL podcast as well to get caught up on everything that went down throughout the NHL offseason. It's free and available on all platforms, so be sure to go and check out Locked On NHL right now, wherever you get your podcasts. Once again, thank you all for tuning into today's episode. I'm your host, Jack Bushman. You can find me out on Twitter at JackBushman2. Or you could also check out my Strictly Blackhawks account at Talkin' Hockey for all the latest Blackhawks news and updates. And for any questions at all regarding anything related to the Blackhawks or to the show, feel free to email lockedonblackhawks@gmail.com. That's all one word, lockedonblackhawks@gmail.com. Or you could also hit me up on any one of my Twitter accounts. So until tomorrow's episode, go Hawks. Let's pick up that preseason dub tonight against the St. Louis Blues. And thanks again for tuning into the Locked On Blackhawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.